Hello, everybody. My name is Sylvain Rochon, and this is another installment in the series that I've made for while I'm writing my second Engineering Paradise book. And this particular chapter is about education. And I am an educator. I've been in the education game for a while. So I've been a very critical of how education is done over in Canada, because that's where I have most of my experience, if not all my experience, from high school, elementary, and also I taught at university. And as an entrepreneur, I've been hiring new staff and doing different things. So catching the people I went through the educational system at the end of it. So I've been at in all aspects of education. And thinking about the future, what's interesting about education is that we're moving to something that is quite different. Traditional education, as it still stands today, is very obsolete. We're still using classrooms. We're still trying to teach subjects knowledge in a similar way to when into the industrialization era, where we tried to make good employees, so good factory workers in chain. Everybody needed to learn the same things to be able to have the same skills in general. And when we line up students or our children, we line them up towards a certain job, towards a certain career or title. And that's very industrial era. Right now, as we mentioned before, we're looking towards a society where you don't need to work for a living anymore, when you want to follow your passion. And everybody is inherently different. Not only that, but information in itself is readily available on the internet and also on all sorts of devices. We don't need schools to provide knowledge anymore. What we need schools to be, we need them to be institutions that provide experience, that stabilize, that creates emotional stability, that allows opportunities for people to work together on projects, things like that. Experiences that are hard to come by at home, inside families. You want to have educators to support the education of the students, because they can get their knowledge on their own through the internet. So it's very, very different kind of world we're building. If every individual can creatively make their own, invent their own way they want to contribute to society, then it's more like trying to shape entrepreneurs and innovators than factory workers. A very different kind of deal. But education is also extremely important. In fact, a lot of research shows that economic growth and the health of a country, of a nation, and it's a nation that is healthy in how it manages its own natural resources, for example, and with low crime, things like that. There's a high relationship between low criminality, high productivity, and education. So we want a population that is highly educated as well. Now, what does that mean? That means highly skilled population. And so instead of an educational system that tries to provide knowledge, what we want an educational system, or an education system that enhances skills, and also interrelational skills that are not related to actually like programming or something that is not social. I mean, we need both. So fundamentally, when you're looking at the Ministry of Education, which is what we're talking about here, the ministry should be regulating it, and also, but not in the way that we're doing it now. Right now we're standardizing everything, so that when you get out of a high school, for example, then you have the right sort of knowledge and experience or skills that allow you to go to college or university. And that leads you to a certain job. Like, we need to erase those ideas. We don't want that. What we want the elementary school system to be free, for one, because this is a universal kind of education we want, is when we're young. We want students that are able to learn. We want to teach them how to learn, how to collaborate, how to work together in teams. The internet from home or inside the schools is your resource for information. You can get information. It's dynamically updated all the time because people insert more information on the internet constantly. So the information is available. We just want the educators to provide additional resources and experience to organize projects, essentially get the students some experience. At a very young age, however, what you want is that, but also you want you want the students to learn some basic social skills, just how to collaborate, how to be happy, how to be healthy. And there are some school systems, some modern school systems that actually teach that. In fact, the most successful school system in the world currently is well, it's not Finland anymore. It was Finland for like something like 13 years in a row until very recently. But it's in Scandinavia generally, and in Europe, where they're trying to form good human beings. Healthy human beings that think straight, that are balanced emotionally and physically. And then they can grab whatever information they need, and they can be driven by their own passions and try to find their way into the world. Now in our future, we're forming consultants and entrepreneurs basically, because we won't be expecting people to work for a living. So you don't have really jobs. Some people may take jobs anyway if they wish it so, but we want to train people to be really balanced people. So that's the formative years where, I mean, they're a bit too young to really focus on a project. So this elementary school period, right? So let's train our kids to be good human beings first, just to be balanced people. Don't forget all the knowledge. I mean, just give them access to that, and they'll explore, they'll learn. They give them access to projects, things that they can't necessarily have access to from their home. And some students may even get educated at home, because that's also a trend. More and more students get educated at home, or there's a hybrid model, home and inside institutions that are publicly funded. Because again, you want education to be as good as possible and also free, so everybody has equal footing. That's why it's the Ministry of Education's job to actually provide that. And then past those formative years, when you get into high school and college, university, you should have a whole bunch of institutions that are still regulated and subsidized by the government to ensure that everybody has a similar type of access to different institutions that provide, once more, in this case, it's more like projects. We want them to learn skills. We want the students to learn how to work in teams. Again, an environment that can be done at home. That's what you provide in the institutions. And then coaches and masters and the crafts masters, and you got all these individuals that can be hired or put into these institutions to help the students grow. And they can get their knowledge from the experienced individuals that are there as resources. And essentially the institutions are just providing opportunities. And the students will figure things out by generating experiences. I know for a fact that people that hire new employees are not looking at the degrees anymore. They're not looking at which school you went to as much as they used to. In the States, there's, I think it's 36%, 36% of working age adults have at least a 4-year equivalent degree or certificate or diploma. That's pretty high. In Canada, it's 56% of people at least have a 4-year diploma or degree of some sort. That's a lot of higher education, but it means that the paper, like the document itself, loses its value. Your capacity to get the piece of paper, to get the diploma, doesn't make you so unique anymore. It used to be way lower. back in the day. So, you know, I have a few diplomas, university diplomas myself. I don't even use them because it's a bit of a dime a dozen. There's a lot of people that have those qualifications. Maybe not as many as me. I spent quite a few years at university. But fact is, those pieces of paper don't have as much value as before. When I hire, and when my business friends hire someone, we don't really look at the diploma. We look at the experience the person has had. So the extracurricular experiences and projects and businesses that have been developed by the students are way more impressive. That's how you differentiate a good student or a good potential employee for your firm or your project to someone that is just run-of-the-mill, one of many that could be chosen. Just because you're able to get a diploma doesn't mean you're going to be able to succeed in business or doing a certain job, or as an engineer or scientist or anything. It's very, very different. So we need to shy away from that, from the let's obtain a diploma to get a job. The diploma is valueless. What we want is we want colleges, universities, and other institutions to offer experience and skill building. And that's where we should be going for. Now, it doesn't mean in the future, in the ideal future, it doesn't mean that all institutions have to be subsidized. Exactly. There's a choice that needs to be made. Perhaps in some cases, some very specialized institutions, like a little bit like if you want to do an MBA or the equivalent of that, you know, like a master's or doctorate, maybe there, you know, it doesn't need to be subsidized as much, because that's very specialized type of education, perhaps. You know, there's a choice that needs to be made by a society as to where your taxes go and pay for something. But what is very definite, you want to give everybody a good shot at pretty much the broad base of education that gives the most opportunities to form yourself into a citizen that will be able to achieve your own personal goals, because everybody has their own goals in the future society. You're not working for a living, so maybe you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe you want to be an artist, maybe you want, so an artist, you will probably look for an apprenticeship somewhere, and maybe go to a specialized school to learn certain skills that are very specific, so on and so forth. Maybe the scientist needs to work in the lab for a while, needs to find the opportunity that will allow him to do that. So perhaps a college or university actually does that, and it does even now. Just instead of angling, or instead of the end goal being a piece of paper that that is based on a certain amount of credits and knowledge, perhaps you need to succeed at a certain project or a certain research project near the end, and you put more value on that, and then you show in a portfolio to whoever you want to work with later, because again, you're not looking for a job, right? Then you get to show something. So the university or college or other institution would help you create that portfolio for you. That is way more high value in the immediate future and into the ideal future that I'm talking about in this book. So that's how you're going to provide also happy individuals, because nobody's stressed about getting a job, so they're looking for experiences. They're not looking just to crunch just for a piece of paper in the hopes of getting something with full of stress. No, you have something in mind, you experiment with different things, and you end up finding something that you really love, and then you choose a project that you really like. Maybe you're willing to spend a lot of your money into it to get the proper training, but at least it's subsidized to a certain degree by the ministry, so that the poor individuals and the richer individuals that have families that have succeeded better in the world will have a similar opportunity to actually reach out and reach their own personal goal, no matter what that is. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about this. But I'm hoping you can comment on this if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions you want to offer. Please feel free, and I'm hoping to build this future with you guys, so that's the intent. So I'll talk about it some more later on when I'm finishing my book and reviewing further. Okay, bye bye for now. But Next video, I'll be talking about the health system, which is also something that I have in mind quite a bit.